Bible talks about there's a way that seemeth right to a man, but the end thereof is death. You don't need discernment to determine what's right from wrong. You need discernment to determine what's right from what appears to be right. God saved me from what appears right.
Ezekiel, Azonwu, come on.
You pronounce that like a real Igbo brother, man.
I am. Chuku, Nagwama, really. Most people don't pivot ever. What has it cost you?
When I used to go away to minister, my dad would call me after I ministered. He said, "Are you done? So why do you want to destroy this church?" First of all, I didn't know I had the power to destroy the church. I had to sit and tell my dad, I'm like, you taught me to have more allegiance to God than anyone else. Now it's time for me to have allegiance to God over you.
Well, your dad taught just like the dad on Black Panther. So many times it's hard for us to be obedient when we're winning. How do you pivot while winning?
You have to redefine what winning is. And let's talk about God's sabotage. God has sabotaged me many times in my life. I realize it's the classroom where he wants to teach us his name as provider. It's the place where he wants to come through for us.
The people who struggle with faith the most are the most talented.
Okay.
Because you believe you don't need them. And because you're so skilled, faith is too basic, so you try to skip it. It's why the worst thing you can ever do is go to the Y and play a pickup game against white guys. Because they're going to beat you. Because they're going to pick and roll. Because they're not relying on skill. And basics beat skill every day. So John Maxwell walked off stage. He told his friend, he said, "You hear that? The crowd's going crazy." He said, "They're clapping for my gift, not for me." He said, "They don't know me." He said, "If I walk back out there and say one thing they don't like, those claps will go away." He said, "Don't ever confuse the applaud for your gift for the applaud for you. It's two different things."
I said, that's why it's good to be married. Being married, coming home is a reality check.
Hey,
Don't it check?
she don't care.
I'm like, man, these people love me. I come home and be like, baby, why you not that hype?
Right. You hate celebrate me.
I say this so seriously. What you're doing now, it's not a sermon series, bro. Hear me. And I hope you don't move on.
I don't want to end this. I see why Tim Ross podcasts are 18 hours. I could just go on and on and on, man.
Did we just become best friends?
Yep.
I don't have to worry. Why would I worry when I know it's working for me? It's working for my good. I don't have to worry. Why would I worry when I know it's working for me? It's working for my good. Hold up. It's working for my good. My God is intentional.
Familia, thank you again for joining me, Travis Greene, on the Intentional Podcast. Intentional living in an unpredictable world. Can't control the world around you, but you can be intentional about the life you live in it. On this podcast, I only have people that I have interest in, people that I enjoy, people that I watch, people that I can vouch for, their life, their integrity. And today I'm very, very pumped. I got a brother, known him for a very long time, well over a decade, probably a decade and a half. But this guy is the real deal, Holyfield. Y'all know him, no stranger. Ezekiel Azonwu, come on.
You pronounce that like a real Igbo brother, man.
I am. Chuku Nagwama, really.
What? Look, when I seen you in Nigeria, I saw when you was in Nigeria for the first few times. I was like, does Travis know he looks Igbo?
I am.
I know, like you look like my people for real.
No,
for real.
I am. So I did 23andMe. I'm Nigerian.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
Oh, it's unmistakable,
Yeah,
undeniable
yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Nigeria, man. I love the culture. And, you know, wifey, her people's from Ghana.
Yes.
So Nigeria or Ghana jollof.
Bro, how you gonna ask me that? You know, and sorry to your wife. You know, so you got to answer that because you're like the unbiased party.
You're
so
not about to get me stoned in these streets.
Oh, good.
But
That tells me a lot.
Nigeria is spicy though.
It's not spicy.
To you, you have a Nigerian stomach. It take me out.
Yeah, you're right. Ghana doesn't do the spice. I like the texture.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it don't hit like ours.
Yeah. Nah, nothing's like Nigeria, man.
Come on, man.
Yo, man, I'm so excited you are here with me, man.
Yes,
I
sir.
admire you. I love what you do. I love what you stand for.
Thank you.
And you've been doing this a while.
I went from spoken word, doing relationship stuff. Now I'm doing podcasting. And I've seen God do the same with you, man.
Man, let's talk through it. So I know when I met you, I feel like you were living out in LA.
Yes, sir.
You were in LA for a long time. How long were you in LA?
So born in Huntsville, Alabama, but I was raised in LA. So LA since 1988.
Oh yeah, you LA.
Yeah.
LA through and through.
Yeah. So then moved to Georgia in 2019. So I'm an LA guy.
Yeah, and I'm a Georgia boy.
Yeah,
Through
you're
and through.
for real Georgia boy, but you love everything LA. So
I do love everything LA. When you moved to LA, I moved to Georgia. I moved to Georgia in 88.
Wow.
Yeah, I moved to Georgia in 88.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad died in 89, and then we just stayed in Georgia.
Man.
Yeah, so I was born in Delaware, and then from Delaware to Germany. I was in Germany the first 4 years of my life. So yeah, as soon as I was born, we moved to Germany. So I was in Germany 4 years, and then from Germany to Georgia.
That's
and
crazy.
in Georgia my whole life until I moved.
You lived like
09.
30 lives, man.
I have.
And then the face don't show it.
I have a lot of water, no alcohol, no drugs.
Amen.
All right, so you're in LA.
Yes,
you
sir.
grew up LA.
Yes, sir.
What part of LA?
The hood. I'm from like everything you heard of.
Crenshaw?
No. Everybody always talk about Crenshaw.
When I hear hood,
for
I think
us-
Crenshaw.
Listen, Crenshaw, just because there was some boys in the hood, Crenshaw is a very nice block for us, or street.
Oh, really?
I'm from like the real hood, like
Okay.
Vermont, East, like Watts. Like I'm from.
I heard of Watts.
Oh, you heard of Watts?
I heard of Watts.
Okay, I'm from where they was like shooting at police and stuff like
No,
that.
I heard
from
of Watts.
rooftops. Yeah, I'm from the worst of the
I feel
worst.
like is Tim Ross from Watts?
I never heard.
I feel
know,
like Tim
I know
Ross-
who's Southern California, but I don't know where.
I
he's
feel
from.
like Tim Ross is from Watts.
Really?
I've heard of Watts, either from Tim Ross or from Torrey. Somebody from Watts. Well,
That's-
Torrey's from Oakland, but I heard of Watts though.
Yeah, Watts is like the worst of
Tim
the
Ross.
worst.
Tim Ross is from Watts for
You're
sure.
kidding.
I'm positive. Tim Ross is from Watts. I'm about to text him and find out. Right here, live on the podcast.
Let's find out. If Tim Ross is from Watts, I need to
Watts.
know from where. Because
Tim Ross is from Watts.
No way.
Yeah. What's his name? Tim Ross. Aren't you from Watts? Is that W-A-T-T?
W-A-T-T-S. Tyrese from Watts.
Aren't you from Watts? I know Tyrese.
You know Tyrese?
Yeah, that's on me.
Really?
Yeah, I know Tyrese.
Yeah, okay. That's
I know
what I got
Tyrese.
too.
I know
Yeah,
Tyrese.
he's legit from Watts. Yeah,
Okay.
so-
He's in Georgia now too, though, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He in Georgia.
Yeah. All right. So, LA, when did you know poetry was a thing?
Was a thing. So I don't know if you know about the Passion for Christ movement, P4CM. They started blowing up in 2007, 2008. At the time, I was calling myself a lyrical evangelist. I was rapping, but I stopped rapping with music. And so I was just going from church to church and just doing my thing without music. And I called myself a lyrical evangelist. I saw the Passion for Christ. They were doing their thing, blowing up on YouTube when YouTube kind of just started. And I'm just like, man, what they do is what I love. I just want to support it. I want to be a part of what they do. Somehow we just kind of met. They saw me doing some poetry. They saw me doing some rap at a particular location. And they're like, you're doing Christian spoken word. I'm like, what y'all do, I could never do. So one of my friends was just like, man, why don't you just try to do it for one of our events? And I'm just like, bro, I'll do it for you and I'll do it for the Lord. I wrote, my first poem was called Almost Saved. And that poem, yes, that's probably the poem that most people know me by.
I remember that.
Yes, bro. Way 2000.
I surrender all.
Yes, there it is.
Hey,
There it
I
is.
remember that,
That's
bro.
it. That's it.
I
Yes.
forgot. Yeah, I remember that. That's crazy.
That was the
That's
first
crazy.
spoken word poem I ever had.
You went
and then-
crazy on that, though.
Listen.
I remember that joint.
That was out of me not knowing what to do and just speaking from where I was coming out of. Like
Yeah.
I lived that life up until just a couple years before that, and God took that and I went around the world doing spoken words. Yeah, man.
I feel like I was with you in LA one time when you did that. I feel like it was in. Was that Crenshaw? I feel like it wasn't Crenshaw.
You and Crenshaw.
We were at a Kojic church. This was forever ago.
Are you West
Wasn't it
West
Crenshaw?
Angeles?
No, it wasn't West Angeles. It was another church. But you and I was on the program. This is forever ago.
Okay.
We was on program together. But you did.
That's that New York joint.
You did.
That was
almost.
New York.
Was that New York?
That was New York. That was New York. That's
Was
when
New
I
York?
first
I
kind of
feel
met
like- I
you.
feel like that was
It
LA.
was a Kojic type of church.
Okay.
You was doing acoustic set. I was doing spoken word, and I believe I did that
I
poem.
get my cities mixed up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
murdered that.
Yeah.
Yo,
Thank
and then
you, bro.
I remember you did the
Letter from Satan.
prison joint.
Wow, that was during the tour.
Bro, that was amazing.
You were there?
I know I watched it on YouTube.
Oh,
Sorry.
wow.
That was amazing, dude.
That's
It was like
crazy.
chill bumps. I remember I sent it to everybody. I was like, yo, y'all gotta watch this.
Oh my God,
Like,
bro.
took my place, all of that. Like that was
Oh, you talking about that one? Yeah, that was during the tour. I did that one with Preston Perry. Yeah, it was called Conviction. Yeah.
all right. So how you're a creative genius? Like, where did that come from? How did you even? I mean, because you kind of cross two different worlds. Like, I feel like many times, like poets are like they're creative in thought, but not
Yes.
necessarily in expression.
Wow.
A lot of times they're not really charismatic. You know what I mean? They're just
Yes.
kind of like very thought provoking
Yeah.
and deep and serious.
Yes.
But you bring like charisma and creativity and like I feel like you like just make it a little wider.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Man, it's just me as that's my personality. I've always been kind of an animated person. And so it always translated as me being just kind of foolish in the streets. But when it came to spoken word, I'm just like, I don't know how to be a poet. So I was doing battle rap for a while, and I was just always an expressive battle rapper. And so in spoken word, I just kind of allowed myself to come out. And I really think that even as a spoken word artist, I don't think I ever fell in love with poetry. What I did love was this gave me an opportunity to be me, and it allowed people to be impacted. So I was like, oh, I could definitely do this. So when people would say, oh man, do you act? Or like, where does that theatrical side come from? I'm just like, I've always been foolish. I'll tell this story. And my wife always laughs at me because of this. Some people came to do casting for our school for some, it was what's that, Alice in Wonderland, and they gave everybody like a one-line script, and I had it was called, we were all supposed to say, and the clock struck 12. And so I came in, I knew it was Alice in Wonderland, so it had an accent. So everybody did their line, and I came, and I thought I was about to just kill it. I said, and the clock struck 12.
Yes.
She said, next.
Yes.
I told my wife that story, and she said, because you always acting stupid. You always want to go above and beyond. And I was just like, oh, okay. So my bigness and my expressiveness is not always as accepted. But in spoken word, they accepted me. So I found my home in it. Yeah.
You're very in touch with just like emotion, right? I noticed in some of your talk, like you're in touch with like, especially like how a man can express himself emotionally and stuff. Where did that come from? And just the thought behind how men can be in touch with emotions and how that can help serve us even in our relationships.
Man, I grew up in an African home. So everything that I really needed from my father as far as emotionally, he wasn't able to give because he just didn't have that relationship with his father. So I just kind of deviated by default from how he was because it just wasn't natural for me not to express, not to be in touch. And so when I speak, when I live out my life, I'm living out kind of going in a direction away from what I knew. And that just leans and has me lean into having vulnerable conversations and building with men in ways that I never saw. And so when you see me get on a mic and talk about my past struggles, I remember when I first talked about my struggle with porn and masturbation. I don't know what kind of show you got, but I'm setting the word straight.
No, you good.
All right. And so one of my boys hit me up and he said, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you like share all of that? And I'm just like, I didn't know there was nothing wrong with me telling people that I was free. I didn't know that this was a big deal until I realized when I started working with men have an issue leading in vulnerability. Being the first one, not knowing how people are going to respond to say, I did it, that was me. And I think when Jesus died on the cross, he died naked. He led that vulnerability so that we can come before him just like we were supposed to, just like Adam and Eve were supposed to be naked and unashamed because he covers us and he led in that vulnerability so I could be vulnerable. So that's where that kind of comes from, man.
Heavy.
Yeah, man.
Heavy. Let's talk just the cost of ministry and obedience. And I just feel like you've lived a very just open life before God. You've walked away from stuff. Yeah. You've shifted a few times, even in the short life you've had. And most people don't pivot ever. You know what I mean? Yes. Most people are 80. Moses was 80 when he pivoted. You know what I mean? So most people don't ever like pivot. What is that like, and just what has it cost you? And just speaking to that a little bit for our listeners who may be hearing an instruction and are afraid of the unknown.
That's so good, man. I definitely want to talk to you about this. Man, sometimes you mentioned in the sermon, I just want to say Forward City Church is crazy on all levels. I just have to make a little commercial. I have not been to a church like your church.
Wow.
Ever. God bless you and what you're doing, man. So you talked about it. You mentioned, just because they help you get to the mountain don't mean they're supposed to go up the mountain with you.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very difficult thing for me. I was always loyal. I see that as something in me. I don't like firing people that much. I don't like, if you rock with me, I want to repay you by keeping you next to me. And so my father, man, he raised me, taught me everything I knew, but there was a time that I had to shift from even being at his church. I was everything at his church. I was the golden child. I played the keys. I taught different things. I preached. I did everything. When it was time for me to shift, I had to.
Did y'all sing African songs?
Oh my gosh, we never evacuated from the timeline bubble of an African church. Sing it, man, and rejoice, hallelujah, glory be to God, amen. That's the type of stuff we
every Sunday.
I love
straight
up.
up.
That's what I did. That was my life. And when it was time for me to go,
no one worships like Africans.
Listen to me.
We just got to say that.
Or praise.
The passion.
Come on, man.
Of Africans, Nigerian passion.
Come on.
Ghanaian passion.
Come on.
Kenyan passion.
Listen.
It's unmatched.
Come on. 12-hour prayer sessions. We're going all the way in.
It.
Yes. Yeah. And so that was my life. And I was just like, I remember when I used to go away to minister, my dad would call me after I minister. He said, "Are you done?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, everything was good. Now, and they saying I could go to South Africa next year." He said, "Okay, but why do you want to destroy this church?" I'm like, first of all, I didn't know I had the power to destroy the church, but he held on to me in a way. I don't know. I'm your son, but he's like, this is your church. You are supposed to take over after me. And I'm like, man, but what if God is calling me?
Your dad talked just like the dad on Black Panther. Is that the same man? Is your dad? Do you and Black Panther have the same dad? That's my question, because they sound just alike.
No, but I see the similarity.
The same dad. Yeah.
I'm lost.
Okay. Destroy the church.
So I had to sit and tell my dad, I'm like, you taught me to put God first. You taught me to have more allegiance to God than anyone else. Now it's time for me to have allegiance to God over you.
Whoa.
And with that mindset, I realized, man, it's not for me to get married to any position or place or any person that God assigns me to, but to hold things very loosely. Every title, every position, every platform, I hold it very loosely.
Yeah,
so when people say, "How'd you know that poetry was your calling?" I was like, I don't think it is. How did you know that this podcast was your calling? I'm like, I know that God has me here for this season.
Walking.
I'm just obedient.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, anytime, anywhere, any place. I remember during COVID, that was in between the time where we couldn't tour, right? So I wasn't a spoken word artist. And God wanted me to serve men. And I hadn't had no other ideas or anything like that. I'm just like, I'm going to serve men. Not for no pay, not with no visibility. I'm on 5 a.m. prayer calls with men. It's only 8 people on there.
Wow.
We just left Uganda doing 10,000 people. We just left South Africa, sold out 3,000. We just left traveling, doing 44 cities all through, merge, all of that. And now I'm on calls, building men one-on-one, working behind the scenes. Nobody's seeing it, nobody hearing it. Am I a loser now? Am I no longer anointed? Am I no longer called? So I'm married to God's voice more than the place or the assignment. I just want to be where God wants me to be. And so if you see me elevated on any platform or doing certain things, I hold it loosely. Praise God for what he's doing right now. But if he tells me to step off the platform, get, now you serving kids, shut the door, and it's you and him. I am just as valued to God.
Yes.
With my yes. So that's kind of how I am. So pivoting.
Beautiful.
Pivoting is not hard for me, man. Pivot. It's natural because
did you have to learn it early though?
Yes.
Is it not hard for you because you learned it early?
Yes. And I had to. The most difficult thing was to pivot from my dad.
Yeah.
That's my dad, bro.
Yeah.
And you don't dishonor your father.
Yeah. You can in America, not in Africa.
Oh yeah, you can't, because it was serious. It was seriously like my dad thought that I didn't love him. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
And I had to be okay with having to find other ways to show my dad for real that I love you, but I gotta go with God.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do. I just go with God, bro. That's it.
I think the power, man, is what you're saying. It's a lesson that many don't learn early. You know what I mean? And so because of that, you get further along in ministry. You get it's hard for you to pivot. Like, I mean, you and I know pastors who season has been over for a decade. You know what I mean? And there's nothing more tragic than watching a hero decline because they didn't pivot when God told them to. You know, I think that's what made MJ, powerful, except for the Wizards.
Yeah,
But
right.
He pivoted like at climax, and I think so many times it's hard for us to be obedient to God when we're winning. Talk about that a little bit, man. How do you pivot while winning?
Because you have to redefine what winning is.
I ain't talking my language.
I mean, is it winning to be more followers, more money,
language, bro?
More vacations, all of this, more discretionary, all of the things that you can get while shutting your ear to God. You know what I learned about Abraham that was just so amazing, bro? God gave him what he promised him, and he did not shut his ear to God's command for the thing that he promised him. Abraham could have took his son and say, thank you, God. You promised him to me.
Yes.
I'm going to do what I want with my son. But Abraham was so bent on, God, it's your voice, to the extent that he even told his servants one thing. I don't believe he fully opened up to his wife even about this thing, because I'm sure she would have stopped him. So he was like, this God that told me to leave my kindred and everything that was comfortable for me, and he led me to a place that I did not know. He's been with me. He's shown me all of these things, is telling me how I need to handle what he gave me. He's telling me to kill what he gave me. On that same mountain where he told Abraham to sacrifice Isaac was the same mountain that he discovered that God was Jireh. So every time we think that God is trying to take something away, you preached it, I'm just repeating you. Every time we think God is trying to take something away, block us, stop us, and let's talk about God, sabotage. God has sabotaged me many times in my life. I realize that it's the very forum, it's the classroom where he wants to teach us his name as provider. It's the place where he wants to come through for us. Man, there was many seasons that I thought I had to go back to the corporate job, corporate world. I applied to hundreds of locations. I had CEOs on speed dial that promised me, like, bro, you want to be with us? You done help us make hundreds of thousands. Let's go. Then they ghost me. Nobody called me. I got to the point I was like, I'm not talking about a long time ago. I'm talking about if I expose myself, you'd be like, bro, you should have hit me up. I would have gave you $50. No, it was to the point where I was like, maybe I might be too overqualified. I took stuff off of my resume and I applied for like 13. I was Home Depot. I was trying to, I just need to see that I'm hireable. Nobody called me back. I didn't get an interview. 800, 900. I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? I want you to step back from this desperation to think that I don't got you when you're uncertain. To trust God when you don't know is the life of a believer. Yes. We're so uncomfortable in uncertainty, bro. Yeah, man. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, this is what the interview is for. Hello, you're cracking codes for us, man. Thank you.
Yeah, bro.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, so I've just learned to get comfortable, and it's still hard as a man, a Nigerian man. Yeah, bro. I got 5 kids. Got a wife.
That's a lot of kids, man. That's half for 10.
Why you have to do it like that?
Bro, 5 is a lot. 5 is too many for
a car. It's a starting lineup, dog.
Yeah, that's minivan.
There was a time when I spent, I lost. But one of the times that God sabotaged me. It was one of the times I tried to get you on a tour, but, I could. You was too busy. You was traveling the world.
He's not telling the truth, yo.
Yeah, no, I'm so serious.
He's not telling the truth.
I promise you. I couldn't even go into, I tried to expand the tour. I tried to go into these islands. They said, if you don't have Travis, we don't want you. I'm like, dude, is it like that? Yes, it was like that. Man. So anyway, man, after everything.
Before I retired.
Before you retired. Okay, we got to talk about this song. But man, God was just shutting me down. Things that did not make sense. Things that, one guy that was cleaning up after our failed show, which did not make sense. It didn't make sense that the show, if I gave you the details, you'd be like, yo, this doesn't make sense. It was supposed to be a complete success based on everything that had happened before. He was cleaning up after the show miserably failed. And he said, what happened? said, bro, you were with me. We was on the radio. Everything was promoted well. We have the biggest artist to your island that you guys have been expecting. Everything was right. I don't know. He said, if I did a show, more people would have shown up. And I don't even sing. What happened? I was just like, man, I don't know. And I realized that I was trying to
I don't believe that,
manufacture.
though. No more people want to shut up for him. But go ahead.
Possibly.
I'm in
Possibly. If I tell you the disgrace, you would be like, I realized I was trying to manufacture our success. I thought that God was going to follow
Gotta
along.
have wind.
Oh,
Gotta
my.
have wind, man.
I didn't know, bro. I thought the strategy was so airtight. It was sealed. It made so much sense on paper, dog. If I explain it, I probably explained it off camera. You'd be like, bro, that don't make no sense.
Yeah.
God sabotaged me.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said,
No, I get it.
it was never you in the first place.
I get it. It makes sense to me. I get it. Yeah.
I realized I wasn't the engine that made it work.
There are so many, I got so much I want to say. Right
Come
now.
on, man.
I got so much I want to say. First of all, Tim Russ is from Inglewood. He said
Oh, okay. Now,
he said
that
his
makes
godmother lived in Watts.
Okay.
And he spent summers there. I heard him talk about Watts
sense.
before.
Okay, there it is.
And they want to know what made me ask. I told him it was you. I am afraid. All right, this is what I want to say. I got like 10 things I want to say, and I'm trying to package it.
Okay.
I think the people who struggle with faith the most are the most talented.
Okay.
Because you believe you don't need them. And because you're so skilled, faith is too basic, so you try to skip it. It's why the worst thing you can ever do is go to the Y and play a pickup game against white guys. Because they're going to beat you. They're going to beat you because they're going to pick and roll. They're gonna do the basics. They ain't gonna be flashy.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna be no reverse layups.
Yeah.
It's gonna be straight pick and roll.
Yeah.
It's gonna be straight getting open.
Yeah.
They gonna have plays they already because they're not relying on skill.
Woo. That's good.
And basics beat skill every day. Dang. Yeah. Like you can't skip the basics, man. And this is the problem, man. This is boy, I don't want to get in trouble.
Go ahead, bro.
I don't want to get in trouble here, man. But this is why I even have some friends who are very gifted communicators, but their churches struggle because they skip basics, man, and you rely too heavy on skill, and so you got to be very careful. I had to do this. I think most people who are very talented, where you don't rely and depend on what you can do. You have to, there has to be the God factor of, no, if you don't come through. And that's where faith lives. It is what you're talking about with uncertainty. It lives in the, you got to breathe on this. You got to breathe on this. Ezekiel 37, the bones came together. That was the first thing that happened. While he was prophesying, he heard a rattling and the bones came together. And that's where most people celebrate. But structure means nothing without wind. Ooh. And so the next prophecy was actually prophesied to the breath. Oh. And what has happened is we have been celebrating breathless structures, man. So I get it. I get a tour that has everything lined up but don't work. Because if he didn't breathe on it, man, there's so many opportunities, man. I can't even, you know this, but there's so many opportunities I've turned down. Dozens at this point, whether it was mega tours or whatever. I've had pastors offer me buildings, churches in different cities. Oh yeah. It was like, I've had them tell me I help you skip 10 years, all of that, they go, flash before me. If I didn't feel wind behind it, I've always looked for the wind, man. I'm a spirit guy. And if I don't feel wind, where there is no wind, you have to make it work.
Come on, go there.
Yeah, no, this is, I'm interviewing you.
Oh, man, I love that.
But you get what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Then it's on you.
Ooh.
It's on you, man.
And then that being skilled and being talented and being anointed, that is gives us this pseudo confidence that makes us think that I can make it happen. And the fact that we're delusional about our testimony. Like somehow, some way, I made this happen. I made it work. No, because I am good, right? I'm better than that person. I'm better than that person. I'm better than that person. I mean, I did this. I did that. God has his hand on me and all of these things. And it helps me not feel the need to have to go back to him. Talk about the blind man that Jesus, he laid his hand on. He used his spit and put on his eyes. And the man, he said, what do you see? No, the blind man.
Okay.
Bro, you're insane, dog. You're insane. His wife was in service like, no, baby, reel it back in. I'm like, that's your husband.
No, that's my brother, man.
All right. So he touched his eyes. He said, what do you see? He said, I see men as trees.
Yeah.
And so this blind man was seeing blurry basically after Jesus touched him. And I think that's many of us. We get touched by Jesus. We get anointed by Jesus. We get blessed by Jesus. And we run with blurry vision. We don't stay. We don't dwell for the second touch. And that second touch is really, it happens in the dwelling. It happens in the staying.
Yes.
It happens in the trusting God while I can't see as well. And knowing that I can't see as well. He had to make him admit that I touch trees and I've touched men and it don't look right. It don't feel right. It doesn't seem right. Bible talks about there's a way that seemeth right to a man.
Scary verse.
But the end thereof is death.
Structure.
Bro, you don't need discernment to determine what's right from wrong. You need discernment to determine what's right from what appears to be right. God saved me from what appears right. This looks right on paper. This makes sense. For everybody else that has this diagnosis, well, I'm gonna die. So trusting God takes a level of reckless abandon.
Yes.
That I just need you, God. I see what's on paper. I see what I can do. And truly, I know what I can't do. Lord, help me. And it's pushing yourself. In Matthew 5, it's like, blessed are those who are poor in spirit. Like, I have to position myself to know that I am in need. And so that's what you said. Like, it's a blessing, but the curse of the gifted to think that I can. That's problematic. And the more that people applaud you, the more it could drown out your need for him. They told me I'm great. That's you on stage and you said, I don't buy into my own hype. For real though. They see a very small portion of me. But Lord, let me not be confused by the audience applause. I don't want it. Yeah, bro.
I was with a friend a couple weeks ago, and he told me this story. He said he was with John Maxwell. He was traveling with him. He was traveling with John Maxwell, and Maxwell walked off. Might be my boy. John Maxwell walked off stage, and as soon as he walked off stage, he told his friend. He said, told the guy that was with him. He said, "You hear that? The crowd's going crazy." He said, "You hear that?" He said, "They're clapping for my gift, not for me." He said, "They don't know me." He said, "If I walk back out there and say one thing they don't like, those claps will go away." He said, "Don't ever confuse the applaud for your gift for the applaud for you. It's two different things."
Oh, my.
Yeah. I had a friend, this same friend, he had a moral failure and lost everything. And he was telling me, he said, "Man, I had to learn that everything that I had, what I thought was love and loyalty, was all tied to my gift. It was never me." He said, "There's nobody to drive me to the airport anymore now that I don't pastor. No one mows my lawn. No one helps me with my trash. No one helps me with anything. I have to do everything myself because their loyalty was never to me. It was to the title."
That's crazy.
And he was just warning me. He said, "Hey, don't ever get it twisted. It's a gift. And it's when people think that the title is them." Yeah. I was just like, he said, "I'm here right now because I drove myself to the airport. I don't have a driver. No one wants to drive me. I don't have a church anymore." I was like, good Lord.
And see, that's why it's sometimes good to be married. Sometimes, because being married, coming home is a reality check.
Hey,
don't it check?
She don't care. She don't let her have a little African in her blood.
Listen.
She could care less, boy.
When I had it was a check for me because I'm like, man, these people love me. I come home and be like, baby, why you not that hype?
right.
You hate
Celebrate me.
I'm like, oh, she's not a fan of that, man.
No.
She loves me.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
my gosh.
Yeah,
That's
man.
my accountability. If she ain't clapping, I'm not moved.
Yeah.
Bruh.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. I got to land the plane. I try to keep it tight around 30, but I do want to ask you this. You are a man of integrity, of deep thought. You're a family man. What are some just practical things that you do intentionally to support this life offering before God?
Man, that's a great point. I think what I just mentioned now, I'm grateful that I was able to mention my family, my wife, my children, and my circle. I think the grounding of community is so essential, man.
Great.
You need people that see you for you.
Great.
And it's not a strange thing for me to check on the people and put a mirror before me and say, hey, how am I doing as a dad?
Ooh.
How am I doing as a husband?
Great.
What's something that you see in my life? I had to ask my mama, how am I doing as a son? And I have to hear the hard things. My daughter told me, sometimes, Daddy, when I be wanting to talk to you real bad, sometimes you still be looking at your computer. I didn't take that lightly. I said, what?
Wow.
Okay. Say less. That's the way that's
beautiful.
That's my real temperature gauge. Because
Beautiful.
I'm like, okay, I got to go back to the Father. I need some more humility. I need more attention. I need more sensitivity. All of these things because I'm missing it.
Yeah.
If my time in my prayer closet has me come out unchanged, and there's something wrong with the wardrobe there. I don't know. There should be a change when I come out of a closet.
Yeah.
And so I can't boast of what I'm doing and spending time in my devotion if it's not affecting and impacting, and the people around me that I love most can't testify of that change. And so that I pay attention to that more than I do the YouTube comments, the explosions that I see online. That's God.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man.
All right, I do have one more question. I'm sorry.
Lord.
But I got you here. I just got to
sir.
ask. So, I've been on this thing, man. God has really been ministering loud in my spirit about idolatry and about revival and really the cost of revival, which is there is no revival, right? Repentance precedes revival.
Yes.
And it's the people of God that need to turn and need to acknowledge our own wickedness. I know this is your lane.
My bread and butter.
Just speak into a little bit, man. What do you think this generation needs to hear? I can't have you here on the Intentional Podcast and not just dive into this just a little bit as it pertains to idol worship and being distracted.
I would just recommend people tap in. How long have you been teaching on this? People need to just go back and watch what you've been teaching. When I say this so seriously, what you're doing now it's not a sermon series, bro. Hear me. It's not a sermon series. This is, and I hope you don't move on. What I mean by that is God could give you different things, but don't leave the heart of where he has you at, because there's a reason why he put the weight on you for this particular message, man. So essential, man. The idolatry, because you talked about the subtle idolatry of our lives. And I think for many of us, just like when James, John, and Peter saw Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration, Peter was like, okay, let's make a tent for for Elijah, one for Moses, and one for you, Jesus. That is our idea. We think that Jesus can still be king along with, right? No, that's not it. Like, God responded to Peter's foolishness by not responding and said, this is my son. Listen to him. And so we love to put Jesus in the same room. We love to squish idols on the same throne. And I think that's the problem. When we talk about a lot of things that you talk about, many people say, I have never in my life elevated anything at the same level or above Jesus. No, but he's in the same breath as those things. That's the problem. He said, thou shalt not have any other gods before me. In my presence. There should be nothing. And so let's say that you don't bow to any of these things. Do you benefit from any of these things? I'll say this.
No, go. Don't land. Go.
Just one thing. Whatever clothes and feeds you is your God. God set that precedent in the garden. God's ideal or idea for goodness was having Adam and Eve placed where he could feed them and he could clothe them. Why? Because they were naked and unashamed. So it was his very presence that clothed them, which is why in Matthew 6:33 it says, don't worry about what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, or what you're going to wear. Yeah. When we serve idols, there's something about us that we're trying to clothe, something that we're trying to cover. There's something that we're trying to feed. And if I give you permission to feed me, to feed my identity, to feed my direction, if I give you permission to clothe me, to give me security, so now I'm something because of this network, or now I am, I feel comfortable, or now I don't feel as alone because I have this relationship. Now that displaces the sovereignty of God where he desires to be. He says, if you give that thing permission to clothe and feed the very things that I have designed you for, this is why my presence is here, then you don't have to bow. You don't have to sing a song. You have already displaced me because you've now displaced your desires on things that were supposed to be objects. That man said, I see men as trees. And in the same way, the trees that were supposed to be used, now I'm using men and serving trees. In the same way, that perversion of identity is what's happening. Those things that God allows to be on our lives, for those things to be tools for us to be able to be on assignment. If you're around people that's crooked around you, if you're in a neighborhood, you're not living in the neighborhood, you're on assignment. So in the same way, bro, I just think that many of us don't understand what idolatry is. So what you're doing, exposing the subtleties of how idolatry presents itself by these things just existing in the same space. We have to deal with the space, bro.
Yeah, I'm just interested, man. Like what started this path for you? Because it seemed like you've been here.
Yes.
You've been in this it's like the Lord exposed this to. Yeah. And I think it has to be exposed.
Yes.
Because culture has really desensitized us in a way and diluted. Like we aren't even aware anymore, man.
Bruh. And I don't think that, man, God has me on this rant. I feel like I'm on a long rant of just helping people see God better, helping people see God better. It really is
a holy burden.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's the other thing. Like when you read about even like Jeremiah, he's weeping over these people. You know what I mean? Like it ain't like and I think it's so easy for,
come on.
But I think it's so easy for like people to be like, immediately categorize you as holier than thou or judgmental, when it's like, no, I actually, I feel like the heart of God is that he wished that no man would perish. I actually feel like you just aren't aware.
Bruh.
Man, I'm just trying to be a watchman and let you know, like, this is more dangerous than you think it is. Man. And people are like, oh, you just this and that, like,
bruh.
You know what I mean?
I almost feel bad for you sometimes. I'm just like, man, because I realize that many of us, we think, like you just said, idols are statues. We think Satan told Jesus, bow down and worship. I'll give you all of these things if you bow down and worship me. Again, Jesus never had to bow to Satan. All he had to do was receive what the enemy had to offer. All he had to do was benefit from what was presented before him. And so many people think because they never bow to Satan that they haven't fully come into agreement by accepting what he has to offer. And so for me, it's just really kind of highlighting, man, God is a jealous God. And he's not just jealous just because he wants to be jealous. I looked at it like this, and I'll say it for this platform as well. Like, man, you know how we grew up, you're a little bit older than me, but they had all of our aunties and our mamas, we had the china cabinets, man.
Yeah.
And the Lord, he treats us just like those china cabinets. Being holy just means to be set apart. China dishes were set apart for special use, special purpose. Yeah. And so
my mom still got it.
Your mom still got it? China?
For sure.
Oh, okay. Well, so you feel me?
Bought it in Germany.
What would never happen though is those chinas be seen amongst regular dishes.
Ever.
They're
for special people, and I don't even know who is ever special enough to ever get
special enough. It just feel like, man, who was we waiting for?
We waiting for the president.
I love that. And in the same way, God says, I don't just want to separate you for separating sakes. I want to separate you because I've assigned special purpose for you. There's something that I want you to do, and I can't allow you to be entangled with those dishes.
Jesus.
And so for many of us, we feel like it's restriction. We look at the china cabinet not as being placed and protected, because everything valuable, just by nature, even in nature itself, is put away and sealed. Clam, you got the clams, you got the pearls in it, you got diamonds that are buried. I mean, even you going to a jewelry store, they're encased in glass. Why? Because they have special and high value. And so why is it that now we want to criminalize the pastor that says, don't just give yourself so freely. Protect your ears and your eyes, because God says you're valuable. You know what? I realize all I have to do to live this life like this is adopt God's value system. Sometimes I don't feel good. It was a time when I was bound with addiction and pornography. You know, I could not say that I was a man of integrity. I couldn't utter the words. I was like, it's a lie. The scripture says that I'm a son of righteousness and all that. I walk in power. I'm like, righteous is a little bit crossing the line. That's too far. I'm not righteous like you're pure, holy, white. I'm beige. Like you. I know you clean me, but you know, like the white tees we used to wear, 4X tees, we only wore them once or twice because after you wash them, it's not the same. But the Lord exposed something to me. He said, when I wash, I don't wash like the world. Y'all got antibacterial soap that cleans 99.9%, but it's still not. Look, when I wash, I make new. And he said, in my presence, when you stand before me, washed in my blood, it is as if you never did it. And so because now I've completely dislodged the idea of the way that I perceive what holiness looks like, what righteousness looks like. It's not mine. It's just God's value system. He says that I'm righteous, and I'm just saying, yep. That's all I'm doing.
Agreeing.
He says that, okay, this is right. I'm just saying, yep. I'm not even preaching. I'm just echoing. And we call it, this is a holy burden. It's not my burden, to be honest. Mike Todd said this and he got so much slack. He was like, I wish it wasn't like this. It'd be easier to tell you to do what you want. It'd be easier for me to just accommodate you. I'm just handing over God's value system. That's all I'm doing. So.
I don't want to end this. I see why Tim Ross podcasts are 18 hours. I could just go on and on and on, man. This is wonderful.
Oh, man.
But we have trained our people. We have trained our listeners for short content.
Yes,
so
sir.
I'm going to land it. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your brilliance. Thank you for the sacrifice,
brother,
and the offering that you've given God in order to even carry this weight, clarity, and anointing. I appreciate you, man. I love you so much. You're my real brother. Thank you for being here with us. Thank y'all.
Thank you
for listening to the Intentional Podcast. You can't control the world around you, but you can be intentional about the life you live in it. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, all the things, and tell everybody. Ezekiel Anukakoki is I memorized it just for the intro, and it's going. Azonwu. Wait, let me see if you still remember. Okay. Yeah, Azonwu. Make sure y'all follow him on all platforms and his podcast and everything he got going on. Love you so much. Keep it intentional. Thank y'all.